Once upon a time, Loren and Alexei Brovarnik were the golden couple of TLC's 90-day Fiancé. Fans adored their playful banter, their sweet love story, and the way they overcame cultural hurdles together. To many, they were proof that love could conquer any obstacle. But behind the glossy smiles and social media perfection, a storm was brewing. Hidden debts, whispered betrayals, and quiet suspicions began to grow in the shadows. No one expected the fairy tale to collapse so violently. Alexei and Loren Brovarniks, due to family disputes, they are officially divorced on August 2025. It has been learned from a secret source. Alexei Brovarnik has been secretly in a relationship with Tori for 2 years. Finally, they are going to get married officially upcoming 20th January 2026. Tori's home is in Australia because Tori agreed to pay off Alexei Brovarnik's secret $1 million debt. Alexei decided to marry her, and Alexei Brovarnik divorces his wife Loren Brovarnik. Subsequently, Loren Brovarnik filed a defamation lawsuit against her husband Alexei Brovarnik. Following the trial, the court found Alexei Brovarnik guilty and sentenced him to 1 year in prison. The story of Alexei and Loren's downfall reads less like a love story and more like a scandalous novel. Tonight, we uncover every hidden detail. This is the rise and fall of Alexei and Loren Brovarnik. When Loren first appeared on 90-Day Fiancé, she was instantly relatable, bubbly, quirky, and unapologetically herself. Alexei, the tall, soft-spoken medic from Israel, seemed like the calm to her storm. Their chemistry was undeniable, and viewers fell in love with them as quickly as they fell for each other. Their journey wasn't always easy. Loren faced health challenges, cultural adjustments, and doubts from family members. Alexei struggled with the pressures of moving to America and building a new life from scratch. But somehow, through all of it, they shined. TLC showcased them as the couple who made it. By the time they welcomed their first child, fans had elevated them to power couple status. Social media overflowed with comments like couple goals and the most genuine pair on TLC. They posted adorable family pictures, vacation clips, and heartwarming baby updates. For years, everything seemed perfect. They were invited back for spin-offs, tell-alls, and special episodes. TLC knew audiences loved them, and Loren and Alexei seemed to thrive in the spotlight. They even became influencers in their own right, securing sponsorships, brand deals, and fan-funded ventures. But perfection, as fans would later discover, was only part of the story. Behind the scenes, Loren was shouldering more than just motherhood. Alexei, charming on camera, was carrying a secret burden, one that threatened not only their finances, but their entire marriage. At this point, no one outside their inner circle suspected a thing. The world saw smiles, but the foundation was already cracking. On the surface, Loren and Alexei's lives looked picture perfect. A beautiful Florida home, 3 adorable children, frequent vacations, and constant praise from fans. But as any relationship under the spotlight eventually proves, perfection often hides the deepest wounds. At first, the cracks were small. Loren's parents adored Alexei, but also worried that their daughter had placed too much trust in someone from a different culture. Private whispers about financial responsibility and stability sometimes slipped into dinner conversations. Alexei, proud and private, often felt judged, as though he was being measured against an invisible standard he could never fully meet. Meanwhile, Alexei's Israeli family had their own doubts. While they loved Loren, they occasionally hinted that she didn't always understand Alexei's background, traditions, or values. Every holiday became a balancing act between 2 families, 2 cultures, and 2 expectations. For years, Loren played the peacemaker, smoothing over conflicts with her charm and energy. But even her resilience had limits. Another issue lurked in the shadows: finances. Despite their TLC fame and influencer income, expenses piled up: medical bills, childcare, brand commitments, and family trips. Loren wanted security and long-term planning, while Alexei, eager to provide, sometimes made choices without fully explaining them. It started with subtle tension. Loren questioning a missing payment here, a late bill there. Alexei brushing it off with, "Don't worry, I'll handle it." She trusted him, but deep down, unease grew. What fans never witnessed were the late-night arguments. Loren, exhausted from juggling 3 young kids and endless filming schedules, would snap over small things. A misplaced toy, a forgotten errand, Alexei staying out too late with friends. Alexei, usually calm, grew defensive. "Why don't you trust me?" he would ask, his voice rising more than Loren had ever heard before. Neighbors recalled muffled voices through the walls. Close friends noticed Loren arriving to gatherings with swollen eyes, claiming she was just tired. Alexei appeared distracted, often checking his phone as though waiting for a message. The truth, their once rock-solid partnership was starting to fracture under secrets neither was ready to confess. Public image versus private reality. On Instagram, Loren still posted smiling family photos. Alexei uploaded beach shots with captions like "Family First." To their hundreds of thousands of followers, the Brovarniks remained flawless. But behind the screen, resentment brewed. Loren felt she was carrying the emotional and physical load of the family. Alexei felt unappreciated, trapped between family pressures and obligations he couldn't explain. And through it all, an invisible weight pressed on Alexei's shoulders. His hidden $1 million debt. A secret he feared would not only ruin his marriage, but also destroy the carefully curated image they had built together. The stage was set. The love story that once inspired millions was teetering on the edge of collapse. Every marriage has secrets. Some are small, forgotten texts, unspoken frustrations. But Alexei's secret wasn't small. It was massive, dangerous, and it was only a matter of time before it consumed everything. Years earlier, before his life with Loren reached full celebrity status, Alexei had dabbled in risky ventures. A friend introduced him to quick profit investments, crypto schemes, sports betting, and overseas business opportunities. At first, it was harmless, even exciting. He made small wins that gave him confidence. But the wins didn't last. Losses piled up, investments collapsed, and before Alexei realized what was happening, he was spiraling into debt. Each time he thought he could make it back, he fell deeper into the hole. By 2023, the number was staggering. Nearly $1 million owed to a tangled web of lenders, online platforms, and private parties who weren't known for patience. On screen, Alexei was the devoted husband and father. He smiled for cameras, cracked jokes during interviews, and posted sweet captions about family milestones. But off-screen, he was frantically juggling overdue payments and debt collectors. He borrowed small amounts from friends, told Loren half-truths about business deals, and quietly sold off items without explanation. He would disappear into late-night phone calls in Hebrew, speaking quickly and quietly so Loren couldn't catch every word. Loren, though sharp, didn't suspect the full scale of his problem. She chalked up the tension to exhaustion, stress, and the pressure of being in the public eye. But Alexei knew the truth. He was living on borrowed time. The guilt gnawed at him. Every time Loren smiled, every time she posted a cheerful family update, Alexei felt a pang of shame. She believed in him, trusted him completely, and carried the family's emotional load with unmatched strength. Yet here he was, hiding a financial disaster that could ruin them both. He wanted to confess. So many times, he almost did. But each time, fear stopped him. What would Loren say if she knew he'd risked their family's stability for reckless ventures? What would TLC fans think if they discovered the perfect husband was drowning in secret debt? By late 2024, the debt collectors grew bolder. Emails turned into phone calls turned into visits. Alexei began to panic. He considered desperate solutions, selling the house, begging relatives, even disappearing. But none of it seemed possible. His only option, it seemed, was to find someone, anyone, who could rescue him from the $1 million trap. That's when Tori appeared. Tori wasn't just a friend. She was something more. They had first crossed paths years earlier, casually, during a fan event connected to TLC. Tori, an Australian woman with charm, confidence, and financial security, seemed intrigued by Alexei. Over time, their conversations grew frequent. What began as playful exchanges turned into private chats, then emotional confessions. By 2023, while Loren was consumed with raising the children and managing her own struggles, Alexei leaned on Tori as a confidant. She listened, she encouraged him, and eventually, she offered more than comfort. She offered a way out. Tori knew about the debt, and unlike anyone else, she had the means to erase it. $1 million, she claimed, wasn't impossible for her, but her help came with conditions. Alexei's heart raced as he realized what she was implying. A marriage, a future, with her. Alexei's loyalty to Loren clashed with his desperation. He loved his family, but the noose of debt tightened daily. Could he really betray the woman who had stood by him through everything, or was this the only way to escape financial ruin? The secret was no longer just about money. It was about choices, betrayal, and a deal that would change the course of his life forever. Alexei's double life had officially begun. If Loren was the wife America loved, Tori was the shadow no one saw coming. She lived oceans away in Australia, far from the cameras, far from the family chaos, far from Loren's watchful eye. And yet, her presence would soon ripple through every corner of Alexei's world. Alexei and Tori's paths first crossed during a fan interaction in late 2021. TLC had organized an international digital event, connecting stars with global audiences. Tori, bright-eyed and confident, joined a virtual meet and greet. Unlike most fans, she didn't gush. She didn't ask for autographs or couple selfies. Instead, she asked Alexei questions about his life, his struggles moving from Israel, and how he balanced everything under the spotlight. Her directness surprised him. Later, she messaged him privately on social media. A thank you note at first, but soon it turned into longer conversations. Casual jokes, honest reflections. Within weeks, Alexei realized he was checking his phone not for brand deals or TLC producers, but for Tori's replies. Loren loved Alexei, but their marriage had shifted. With 3 young children, filming schedules, and endless responsibilities, their conversations often revolved around diapers, bills, and work deadlines. Tori, on the other hand, gave him something different. She didn't nag, she didn't press, she listened. She made him feel like the man he used to be before the fame and fatherhood swallowed him whole. Her words carried a kind of validation he was starving for. Alexei, you deserve more credit. You're stronger than you realize. You shouldn't carry all that stress alone. To a man drowning in debt and doubt, those words were lifelines. By 2022, their friendship blurred into something else. Private late-night calls stretched for hours. Loren would fall asleep exhausted from parenting duties, while Alexei whispered into his phone in another room. And eventually, he told her, not everything at once, but enough. He admitted the weight of his debt, the fear that it might destroy him. Instead of recoiling, Tori leaned in. I can help you, she said one night. Her tone wasn't pitying. It was confident, almost matter-of-fact. At first, Alexei resisted. How could he accept help from someone who wasn't his wife? But the more they spoke, the more the impossible began to feel possible. It's often said that emotional affairs cut deeper than physical ones. And with Tori, Alexei had both temptation and escape. He began to confide in her about things he no longer shared with Loren, his doubts, his regrets, his frustrations. In return, Tori painted a picture of a life where he could be free of shame, free of financial ruin, and free of the judgment he felt at home. She promised him peace, and in Alexei's fragile state, peace was irresistible. Tori wasn't naive. She knew the risks. She knew Alexei was married with children. She also knew about his public image, the perfect husband adored by fans. But she had leverage, money. Her family owned property and investments in Australia. She wasn't a billionaire, but she had resources, enough to cover Alexei's looming $1 million debt. And she made the offer clear. I'll take care of this, all of it. But only if you choose me. It wasn't framed as manipulation. It was framed as destiny. She wanted Alexei, and she was willing to pay the price to have him. Alexei didn't say yes right away. The guilt was crushing, but neither did he say no. He kept talking to her, kept leaning on her, kept escaping into her words. Each time he confided in her, the invisible thread between them tightened. 2 years later, that thread would pull him into a decision that would blow his marriage apart. Tori wasn't just a fan anymore. She was the woman who would change everything. For 2 years, Alexei lived a life worthy of a Hollywood thriller. To the public, he was the doting husband and father, carefully curating every post with Loren. Behind closed doors, he was entangled in a secret relationship with Tori, one that grew deeper and more dangerous with every passing month. Alexei's days were carefully divided. Mornings were filled with school runs, diaper changes, and filming with Loren for TLC updates. Evenings were about family dinners, Instagram photos, and brand deals that highlighted the Brovarnik bond. But when the kids were asleep, when Loren retreated to bed exhausted, Alexei's other world came alive. His phone lit up with messages from Tori. Late-night calls stretched past midnight. Sometimes, he claimed he was working on projects or checking in with relatives in Israel, when in reality, he was pouring his heart out to a woman thousands of miles away. The deception became routine, almost second nature. Alexei grew skilled at hiding evidence. He deleted call logs, pleaded messages, and used encrypted apps to communicate with Tori. When Loren noticed him glued to his phone, he dismissed it as work stress or family matters back home. But cracks appeared. Loren sometimes caught him smiling at texts, his face softening in ways it hadn't for her in months. Other times, she found him restless, pacing after whispered phone calls. Her instinct screamed that something was wrong, but Alexei always had an answer ready. Gaslighting became his defense. "You're imagining things," he'd say. "You know I'd never hurt you." And for a time, she believed him. Despite being continents apart, Tori found ways to make her presence tangible. Care packages arrived at Alexei's address under the guise of fan mail. Inside were expensive watches, luxury sneakers, and even discreet envelopes of cash. She reassured him constantly, "I'll fix this. The debt doesn't have to define you. When the time is right, you and I will build a life together." Those words sank into Alexei like hooks. The deeper his financial troubles grew, the harder it was to resist her promise of salvation. Meanwhile, Loren noticed changes. Alexei grew distant. He laughed less. He avoided eye contact during arguments. The intimacy they once shared dimmed into routine gestures for the camera. Friends whispered that Loren seemed lonelier than ever, even when Alexei was right beside her. Some speculated postpartum challenges or stress from raising 3 children. None guessed the real reason. Alexei's heart and attention were drifting across oceans. There were close calls. Once, Loren walked into the room unexpectedly as Alexei ended a video call. She caught a glimpse of a smiling brunette face on the screen before it went black. He brushed it off as a work call. Another time, their oldest child accidentally picked up Alexei's phone and started reading a message aloud. "Can't wait to see you in January. Our future is close." Alexei snatched the phone so quickly it startled everyone. Still, Loren didn't have proof. And without proof, she couldn't confront the storm she felt was coming. 2 years of deception drained Alexei. The guilt was constant, eating away at him during family milestones, birthdays, anniversaries, holidays. Each smile with Loren felt borrowed, each hug a betrayal. And yet, the thought of losing Tori and her promise to erase his $1 million debt kept him tethered to the lie. Alexei wasn't just living a double life anymore. He was racing against time. Because secrets this big don't stay buried forever. For 2 years, Loren's suspicions quietly brewed. She wanted to believe her marriage was solid, but the late-night calls, the unexplained absences, and Alexei's growing emotional distance gnawed at her. By mid-2025, the truth could no longer be ignored. The marriage that once looked like a fairy tale was about to detonate. Arguments became a daily occurrence. Loren accused Alexei of being absent, physically there, but mentally elsewhere. He countered with claims that she was too controlling, too suspicious. The laughter that once filled their home was replaced with silence, icy glares, and the occasional shouting match. Neighbors recalled slammed doors and muffled fights echoing through the hallways. Friends noticed Loren withdrawing from social gatherings, while Alexei seemed distracted and impatient when he did attend. Behind closed doors, the word divorce was whispered more and more often. The final straw came in July 2025. Loren stumbled upon something she couldn't explain away, a transfer receipt. It wasn't for a small payment. It was for tens of thousands of dollars wired to an Australian account. When she confronted Alexei, his reaction was telling. Instead of calmly explaining, he panicked. He tried to lie at first, claiming it was a business expense, a temporary loan, money he'd get back. But the stammer in his voice, the sweat on his brow, and the way he avoided eye contact confirmed her worst fears. For the first time, Loren felt the ground beneath her collapse. By August 2025, the divorce papers were signed. What shocked fans most was the speed. There were no joint statements, no carefully worded PR posts. Instead, news leaked through a family insider who confirmed that Alexei and Loren were officially divorced. The internet exploded. Wait, what? The Loren and Alexei? I thought they were the most stable couple. This is worse than any 90-day plot twist. Loren, devastated but determined, maintained her dignity. She focused on her children, refusing to publicly drag Alexei, at least not yet. Alexei, however, went quiet. His Instagram posts slowed, his appearances dwindled, but behind the scenes, his new chapter with Tori was already in motion. Though the official divorce cited irreconcilable differences and family disputes, whispers soon surfaced about something darker. Rumors spread of secret debts, betrayal, and a mysterious woman from overseas. At first, fans dismissed it as gossip, but in time, the whispers would harden into undeniable proof. For Loren, the heartbreak was unbearable. She had given her trust, her love, and years of her life, only to be blindsided by secrets she hadn't seen coming. For Alexei, the divorce wasn't an ending. It was a transition, from one life to another, from Loren's embrace to Tori's promise. But what neither realized yet was that the fallout had only just begun. Because Loren wasn't finished fighting. When the divorce dust settled in August 2025, Alexei should have felt free. Instead, he was standing at a crossroads, one path leading to ruin, the other to salvation, and at the center of it all was Tori. By now, Alexei's secret wasn't just a financial nightmare, it was a ticking time bomb. Debt collectors, unpaid loans, and mounting pressure threatened to crush him. Loren's exit from his life didn't erase those obligations. In fact, it made things worse. Without her support, Alexei had fewer ways to mask the cracks in his finances. It was only a matter of time before the truth exploded publicly. But Tori had the solution. Tori didn't mince words. During one of their late-night calls, she laid it out plainly. Alexei, I'll pay it off. All of it. $1 million. You'll never have to worry again. Her voice was calm, confident, almost businesslike. She wasn't dangling money like bait. She was presenting it as a partnership. But there was a catch. I want us to build a life together. No more secrets. No more hiding. I want you here with me in Australia. It was more than just an offer. It was a deal. Alexei hesitated. Deep down, he knew what it meant. Accepting Tori's help wasn't just financial relief. It was betrayal solidified. It meant turning his back on Loren completely, erasing the chance of reconciliation, and binding himself to Tori's world. But the temptation was undeniable. For 2 years, Tori had been his confidant, his comfort, and now his savior. Every logical thought screamed that this was dangerous, but desperation drowned logic. In his mind, he justified it. Loren was gone. The marriage was over. His children would be cared for. He had no other way out. Tori sweetened the vision. She spoke of her home in Australia, a modern house by the coast, stability, and freedom from the shadows of debt. She painted a future where Alexei could reinvent himself, away from the drama of reality TV and the judgment of fans. You'll have peace here, she promised. No more secrets, no more fear, just us. For a man who had spent years living in fear of exposure, the dream was irresistible. Alexei didn't give her an immediate yes, but his silence spoke louder than words. Over the next few weeks, he allowed himself to lean fully into her plan. He began discussing logistics, planning visits, and even exploring visa options for a move. It was as if the weight of $1 million had been lifted from his shoulders, replaced by an even heavier chain, obligation. Because now, he wasn't just indebted financially, he was indebted emotionally. By September 2025, Alexei had unofficially accepted Tori's deal. Word spread quietly among his closest circle. He was planning to remarry, this time in Australia. His friends were stunned, some even warning him he was making the biggest mistake of his life. But Alexei didn't listen. To him, Tori wasn't a mistake, she was salvation. And with that, the stage was set for one of the most controversial engagements in 90-day Fiancé history. When news of the divorce broke in August 2025, fans thought Alexei would disappear from the spotlight, at least for a while. What no one expected was how quickly he'd step into a brand new life, one that was already being meticulously planned on the other side of the world. By October 2025, whispers turned into confirmation. Alexei was engaged to Tori. What started as private rumors exploded into headlines after a leaked photo showed Alexei video calling Tori, showing her a ring. Insiders claimed the proposal wasn't grand or staged, it was practical. He just told her, "You saved me, you're my future," and slipped the ring on during a visit, one source revealed. For Alexei, this wasn't about romance, it was about survival. But to Tori, it was love sealed with sacrifice. She had paid off his $1 million debt, and in return, she was getting the man she wanted. The official date was set, January 20, 2026. The choice was symbolic. The start of a new year, a fresh chapter, and for Alexei, a chance to bury the ghosts of his past. The venue? A luxury coastal resort just outside Sydney, overlooking the ocean. Private enough to keep paparazzi at bay, but glamorous enough to make a statement. Invitations were rumored to have gone out quietly to select guests, mostly Tori's friends and family. Very few from Alexei's side were included, sparking speculation that even his closest allies were distancing themselves from the whirlwind romance. Tori threw herself into planning the event. She hired top-tier wedding planners, stylists, and florists to create the perfect day. White roses, crystal chandeliers, and a beachfront ceremony at sunset. Alexei, meanwhile, seemed detached. He attended meetings, nodded politely, but rarely gave input. To some, it looked like a man going through the motions. To others, it was proof that the marriage was more of a transaction than a love story. Still, Tori appeared unfazed. "He'll settle in," she told her friends. "He's been through so much. Once we're married, he'll finally find peace." Fan reaction. When word of the wedding leaked online, fans erupted. "This is insane. He just divorced Loren. So he left Loren for money? Unreal. Tori is basically buying a husband." Social media was relentless. Memes compared Alexei to a runaway groom, while others accused him of abandoning his children for a life of luxury. For Loren, the news was salt in a fresh wound. Friends close to her revealed that she was devastated, but also furious. She had been humiliated, discarded publicly while Alexei built a shiny new future abroad. What Alexei didn't know was that his troubles weren't over. His financial debt had been erased, but his betrayal had consequences beyond money. Unbeknownst to him, Loren was preparing her own battle, one that would unfold in the courtroom, not on a wedding aisle. And while Alexei looked forward to January 20, 2026, the truth was that his freedom wouldn't last that long, because Loren was about to strike back. When the divorce papers were signed in August 2025, Loren tried to stay strong. For the sake of her children, she kept her head high and focused on creating a sense of stability. But the news of Alexei's engagement to Tori, just weeks later, was a knife in the wound she thought had started to heal. Fiancé Loren was shattered when she first learned of the upcoming January 2026 wedding. It wasn't just the betrayal, one close confidant revealed. It was the speed. She felt like their entire marriage had been erased overnight. Loren had spent years defending Alexei, standing by him during his hardest moments, and presenting their life as a united front. To discover that he had been secretly building a future with someone else left her feeling humiliated, abandoned, and furious. For days, she avoided social media. She couldn't bear the comments, the speculation, the fan theories. Every notification felt like a reminder of the life she'd lost. But Loren wasn't someone who stayed down for long. Slowly, the tears dried, and something stronger began to replace them: rage. She started piecing together the fragments of Alexei's lies, the late-night calls, the missing money, the unexplained absences. Each memory, once dismissed as paranoia, now made sense. And with that clarity came determination. This wasn't just infidelity, Loren reportedly told a close friend. This was betrayal. This was defamation. He ruined my name, my dignity, and my trust. And I'm not going to let him walk away clean. More than anything, Loren feared for her children. She knew the internet would spin the story however it wanted, and that Alexei's choices would eventually affect how her kids were seen. She wanted to protect them from the narrative of the broken family or the scandalous divorce. To her, fighting back wasn't just about revenge. It was about reclaiming her voice and setting the record straight before the world and before her children grew old enough to ask questions. By late October 2025, Loren had made her decision. She wouldn't just move on quietly. She wouldn't let Alexei rewrite the story as if she had been the problem, as if she hadn't given everything to their marriage. She would take him to court, but this wouldn't be a custody battle or a financial settlement. This would be something more pointed, more personal. A defamation lawsuit. Her claim was clear. Alexei had lied, smeared her reputation through whispers, and portrayed her as unstable to justify his actions. She believed his betrayal, and the way he positioned himself publicly, had caused irreparable damage to her image, her career, and her dignity. With lawyers at her side, Loren began preparing her case. Court documents were quietly filed, but leaks soon reached the press. Headlines lit up. Loren Brovarnik files defamation suit against ex-husband Alexei. Divorce drama escalates. Court battle ahead for 90-day Fiancé stars. From reality TV to courtroom reality, the Brovarnik breakdown. Fans who had once rooted for them as a couple now found themselves taking sides. Some defended Alexei, claiming Loren was overreacting. Others stood firmly behind Loren, praising her for refusing to be silenced. Loren's heartbreak had transformed into rage, and that rage into action. She was no longer the betrayed wife licking her wounds. She was a mother, a fighter, and a woman determined to make Alexei face consequences for the lies he had built his new life on. And soon, the courtroom would become the stage for their most explosive showdown yet. By November 2025, the whispers became reality. Loren Brovarnik had officially filed a defamation lawsuit against her ex-husband, Alexei. What started as a private heartbreak was now about to play out under the blinding lights of the legal system. Court documents revealed Loren's claims. Alexei had knowingly spread false statements about her during and after their marriage. He implied she was unstable, controlling, and impossible to live with, narratives that painted her as the villain while he sought sympathy. These claims, Loren argued, weren't just personal attacks. They damaged her public image, her opportunities with brands, and even her ability to shield her children from gossip. The lawsuit demanded accountability and justice. The filing set off a firestorm in the press. Tabloids splashed headlines like, "From love to litigation, Loren versus Alexei. 90-day fiancé divorce explodes into courtroom drama. Loren seeks justice, Alexei under fire." Talk shows dissected every detail. Podcasters debated whether Loren was fighting for dignity or revenge. Social media erupted with hashtags like Team Loren and Team Alexei. For fans who had once adored them as a couple, it was surreal. The perfect pair had become a legal battlefield. Alexei, blindsided, scrambled to respond. His legal team issued a statement claiming Loren's lawsuit was unfounded and driven by emotion rather than fact. They argued that his words were taken out of context, that his frustrations during the marriage were being exaggerated, and that Loren was weaponizing the court to punish him. Privately, though, Alexei was rattled. His upcoming wedding in January 2026 was already controversial. Now, with the lawsuit hanging over his head, he looked less like a groom and more like a man on trial. This wasn't about money, at least not primarily. While Loren did seek damages for lost income and emotional harm, insiders said her main goal was symbolic. She wanted Alexei's lies exposed. She wanted the world to see that she hadn't been the problem, that she hadn't deserved the betrayal. For Loren, the lawsuit was about reclaiming her voice. For Alexei, it was about survival, both legally and reputationally. Those close to Loren described her as laser-focused. She's hurt, yes, one friend admitted, but this isn't just about heartbreak anymore. It's about principle. She feels like he destroyed her name while building his new life, and she's not going to let that stand. Meanwhile, Alexei confided in a small circle of friends that he feared the lawsuit could ruin everything. He worried about sponsors, fans, and even Tori's perception of him. After all, Tori had saved him financially. Yet she began to question his integrity. Would she regret the $1 million lifeline she'd given him? By December 2025, a court date was set for early January, just days before Alexei's scheduled wedding to Tori. The timing couldn't have been worse. It was now unavoidable. Alexei would walk into a courtroom to face his ex-wife, accused of defaming her character, before he could walk down that aisle with his new bride. The world waited, eyes fixed on the Brovarniks. And for the first time, their most dramatic storyline wouldn't be filmed for TLC. It would play out in real life, under oath. The morning of 15 September, the courthouse was swarmed with cameras, reporters, and curious onlookers. For years, Alexei and Loren had shared their love story on television. Now, their downfall would unfold in a courtroom for the world to see. Inside the courthouse, the air was thick with tension. Loren arrived first, dressed conservatively, her expression calm but steely. She wasn't here to cry or play the victim. She was here to fight. Her supporters lined the benches, some clutching her hand, others nodding encouragement. Moments later, Alexei entered with his lawyers. He looked pale, tense, and far from the confident groom-to-be he had portrayed weeks earlier. The whispers in the gallery grew louder. That's him, the one who left Loren for the Australian woman. For Alexei, this was more than a trial. It was his reputation, and potentially his freedom, on the line. When Loren testified, her voice was steady. She recounted the years of suspicion, the humiliation of discovering Alexei's betrayal, and the way his words had painted her as the villain in the eyes of family, friends, and fans. He told people I was unstable, that I was paranoid, that I made his life miserable. Loren said firmly, "Those lies cost me more than pride. They cost me opportunities, respect, and the ability to protect my children from ridicule." Her testimony was emotional but composed. The jury listened intently, some visibly moved. Loren's lawyers presented messages, recordings, and testimony from friends who had heard Alexei's disparaging remarks. Emails surfaced where Alexei had downplayed Loren's role in his career success, blaming her for financial troubles, and portraying himself as a victim trapped in an unhappy marriage. Each piece of evidence chipped away at Alexei's defense. When Alexei took the stand, he tried to present himself as misunderstood. He admitted to venting frustrations, but insisted he never intended to harm Loren's reputation. "I was under pressure," he said, his accent thickening under stress. "I made mistakes, but I didn't mean to destroy her. I was just lost." But under cross-examination, cracks appeared. When pressed about his relationship with Tori, Alexei stammered, dodging direct answers about the timeline. The courtroom buzzed as it became clear. Alexei hadn't just misrepresented Loren, he'd built a double life. At one point, Loren's attorney asked bluntly, "Mr. Brovarnik, did you or did you not tell people that Loren was crazy and obsessive to justify your affair with Tori?" Alexei shifted uncomfortably. I might have said things in anger, but not like that." The lawyer cut him off. "Yes or no?" The silence that followed spoke louder than words. Outside the courthouse, reporters delivered live updates. Social media exploded with clips and transcripts. Hashtags like Justice for Loren and Alexei on trial trended worldwide. Fans who had once defended Alexei began turning. The narrative was shifting, and it was clear the trial wasn't just about legalities, it was about morality. After days of testimony, closing arguments racked up. Loren's lawyers painted Alexei as a man who had betrayed his wife and smeared her reputation to justify his actions. Alexei's team argued that it was all exaggerated, that Loren was seeking vengeance. The jury was sent to deliberate. As Loren sat quietly with her lawyers and Alexei paced nervously at the defense table, one thing was certain. Whatever the verdict, their story would never be the same again. The courtroom was silent as the jury filed back into their seats. Days of testimony, heated cross-examinations, and emotional confessions had all led to this moment. The air was so heavy that even the sound of a pen dropping would have echoed like thunder. The judge entered, her face unreadable. She glanced at the papers in front of her, then at the jury, and finally at the two figures at the center of it all, Loren and Alexei. Loren sat upright, her hands folded tightly in her lap. Alexei leaned forward, sweat gathering at his temples, his jaw clenched in anticipation. The world waited. The jury foreman stood, holding the verdict slip. His voice was steady but deliberate as he read. In the case of Loren Brovarnik versus Alexei Brovarnik on the charge of defamation. He paused. The courtroom collectively held its breath. We, the jury, find the defendant, Alexei Brovarnik, guilty. Gasps filled the room. Some in the gallery covered their mouths. Others shook their heads in disbelief. Loren closed her eyes for a brief moment, relief washing over her face. Alexei's shoulders slumped. The words hit him like a hammer. Guilty. The judge wasted no time. Mr. Brovarnik, the evidence presented has made it clear that you knowingly defamed your wife, damaging not only her reputation, but also her livelihood. Actions have consequences. Therefore, this court sentences you to 1 year in prison. The gavel struck like a thunderclap. The once celebrated TLC star, who had built a reputation as a devoted husband and father, now faced the unthinkable prison. Loren sat still, tears brimming in her eyes. Not tears of sadness, but of vindication. She hadn't wanted revenge, she had wanted truth. And the truth had finally been spoken in front of the world. Her friends embraced her. Fans outside the courthouse erupted in cheers as the verdict spread across social media within minutes. Justice for Loren became the top trending hashtag worldwide. Meanwhile, Alexei looked broken. His lawyers whispered frantically, already planning appeals, but the damage was done. He had lost his marriage, his reputation, his freedom, and even the future he thought he had secured with Tori. Court officers approached to escort him out. For a brief moment, he glanced at Loren, the woman he once promised forever to, but she didn't meet his eyes. For Loren, this chapter was closed. Outside, the media frenzy was immediate. Headlines screamed. Alexei Brovarnik found guilty, sentenced to 1 year in prison. Loren wins court battle against ex-husband from TLC fame to inmate. The fall of Alexei Brovarnik. Fans reacted with shock, anger, and heartbreak. Some couldn't believe the man they once admired was now branded guilty. Others applauded Loren for standing up for herself and reclaiming her dignity. As Alexei was led away in handcuffs, one truth became undeniable. The fairy tale that began on 90 Day Fiancé had ended in scandal, betrayal, and a prison sentence. The verdict was more than a legal ruling. It was the symbolic end of their story. One that left fans questioning everything they thought they knew about Alexei and Loren Brovarnik. The trial was over, the verdict delivered, and the gavel had fallen. But for the Brovarniks, life didn't simply return to normal. The guilty ruling shattered their worlds in ways neither Loren nor Alexei could have fully imagined. For Loren, the verdict was both vindication and heartbreak. She had fought to reclaim her dignity, and she had won. But winning came at a cost. The father of her children was now behind bars, and despite the betrayal, She couldn't entirely erase the memories of the man she had once loved. Still, Loren channeled her pain into purpose. She threw herself into her role as a mother, determined to create stability for her kids. Interviews began to pour in. Morning shows, magazines, podcasts. Loren, once known as the quirky wife on reality TV, was now being hailed as a symbol of resilience. Sometimes, she told one interviewer, "You have to lose everything you thought you needed to discover what you truly deserve." Her words resonated with fans, and her popularity soared. Brand deals returned, this time centered around empowerment, wellness, and motherhood. Loren was no longer just Alexei's wife. She was her own story. For Alexei, life shifted overnight from the spotlight to the shadows. Prison was a far cry from the comfortable lifestyle he once flaunted on social media. Gone were the family vacations, the red carpets, the adoring fans. In their place were cold walls, rigid routines, and the weight of public shame. Reports from insiders painted a grim picture. Alexei struggled to adjust. He was isolated, rarely speaking, often lost in thought. The reality of losing Loren, his children's trust, and even his upcoming marriage to Tori pressed heavily on him. He had once believed Tori would save him, but in prison, he began to wonder if he had simply traded one prison for another. Tori, who had once been Alexei's greatest supporter, went silent after the verdict. She cancelled the wedding plans, shut down her social media, and refused to speak publicly about the scandal. Friends of hers claimed she felt blindsided. She thought she was rescuing a man in need, one insider revealed. Instead, she walked into a nightmare. Rumors swirled about whether she regretted paying off his million-dollar debt. Without a marriage to bind them, her sacrifice looked less like an investment in love and more like a costly mistake. Fans were divided. Some continued to defend Alexei, arguing that 1 year in prison was too harsh for words said in anger. Others insisted it was justice served, not just for Loren, but for anyone who had ever been betrayed. Message boards, Facebook groups, and TikTok feeds filled with debates. Some edited old clips of Loren and Alexei together, overlaying them with tragic music. Others created celebratory montages of Loren smiling with her children, captioned, "She won." The fandom that had once united in love for the couple was now split down the middle. For both Loren and Alexei, moving forward meant living in the shadow of what had happened. Loren's every step was dissected by fans and critics alike. Was she dating again? Would she ever forgive Alexei? Would she return to 90-day Fiancé or leave reality TV behind? Alexei, meanwhile, faced a future defined by his mistakes. Even after his release, the stain of a conviction would follow him. Jobs, sponsorships, and even personal relationships would be haunted by the trial. The Brovarniks had once been the shining example of love on TLC. Now, they were a cautionary tale, proof that even the strongest-looking relationships could collapse under secrets, lies, and betrayal. But for Loren, the aftermath wasn't just about surviving. It was about rising. And for Alexei, it was about facing the wreckage of choices he could never undo. With the trial concluded and the dust settling, the world turned its gaze toward what came next. The Brovarniks were no longer a couple, and the love triangle with Tori had imploded. But their stories didn't end with the verdict. Each of them faced a future shaped by choices, consequences, and the scars of betrayal. For Loren, the path forward was clear: rebuild her life on her own terms. She embraced her new identity as a single mother, a businesswoman, and a public figure. Speaking engagements on resilience and empowerment began filling her calendar. She launched a podcast, Unfiltered with Loren, where she shared raw conversations about relationships, motherhood, and recovery from heartbreak. Her children became her anchor. Though questions about Alexei lingered, Loren vowed to raise them with honesty, ensuring they understood her strength more than their father's mistakes. There were whispers of new romances, but Loren wasn't in a rush. "I'm focused on my kids and myself," she told a magazine. "Love will find me again. But this time, it'll be on my terms." Alexei's prison sentence was only a year, but the damage to his reputation could last a lifetime. Former friends distanced themselves. TLC cut ties. Brands cancelled contracts. Yet even in confinement, he began reflecting. Sources close to him claimed he started journaling daily, writing letters he could never send, letters of apology to Loren, to his children, even to Tori. The question remained, when he walked out of prison, would he be able to redeem himself? Or would the world forever remember him as the man who traded love for money and ended up behind bars? Some fans speculated he might try to rebuild in Israel, away from the US spotlight. Others wondered if he'd attempt a comeback, perhaps even through a tell-all book. Whatever the case, Alexei's future would be a climb from disgrace toward uncertain redemption. Tori, once painted as Alexei's savior, vanished from the public eye. The cancelled wedding left her humiliated, and the money she spent erasing Alexei's debt became a bitter reminder of misplaced trust. Friends described her as withdrawn, focusing on her work and distancing herself from the scandal. Some said she had cut off all contact with Alexei. Others claimed she was still in touch, conflicted between love and regret. But one thing was certain, her dream of a life with Alexei was over. And though she had resources to recover financially, emotionally she carried scars of her own. Scars from betting everything on a man who couldn't keep his promises. The future of Alexei, Loren, and Tori wasn't just personal, it was public. Their story had become part of reality TV lore, a cautionary tale for fans and cast members alike. Loren emerged stronger, a survivor who turned betrayal into empowerment. Alexei faced a long road, burdened by guilt, scandal, and the shadow of prison. Tori disappeared into silence, her chapter ending not with a wedding, but with regret. For fans, the Brovarnik saga left one undeniable truth. No matter how perfect things look on TV, behind the scenes, love and betrayal can collide in ways no scriptwriter could ever imagine. And so, the story of Alexei and Loren Brovarnik comes to a shocking end, not with the happily ever after fans once believed in, but with betrayal, courtroom battles, and a prison sentence. What began as a fairy tale on 90 Day Fiancé became one of the most dramatic scandals in the franchise's history. From the golden couple everyone adored, to a divorce, to Alexei's secret life with Tori, and finally, to a guilty verdict, their journey has been nothing short of explosive. For Loren, the heartbreak turned into empowerment. She walked away stronger, proving that dignity and truth are worth fighting for. For Alexei, his choices led to downfall, a fall from grace that left him behind bars, his reputation in ruins. And for Tori, the woman who tried to buy love with money, the future remains uncertain, marked by silence and regret. In the end, this saga isn't just about love lost. It's about what happens when secrets grow too heavy, when trust is broken, and when betrayal becomes too public to hide. The Brovarnik story serves as a reminder. Reality TV can show you smiles, laughter, and romance. But behind the cameras, the truth can be far messier and far more tragic. As the dust settles, one thing is clear. The world may never look at Alexei and Loren the same way again. 90 Day Fiancé. Loren's mental health degrading badly due to drama on the show, but she's still doing it for the paycheck. Loren Brovarnik shades Elizabeth in a cryptic post. Shows middle finger. Loren faces off with Yara to peak drama and tension in new Happily Ever After episode. Yara Zaya slammed for lying to Elizabeth, puts all the blame on Loren and Alexei. I will explain everything. 90 Day Fiancé. Loren's mental health degrading badly due to drama on the show, but she's still doing it for the paycheck. During season 9 of He, Loren Brovarnik's mental health became a source of concern for viewers. Their opinion is that she needs a break from the show and the filming. The star of 90 Day Fiancé is one of the originals who are still giving fans updates on their journey. For more than 10 years, Loren and Alexei have shared a romantic relationship. They made their television debut with an episode about their romance. It took less than 3 years for the reality TV stars to tie the knot and have twin babies. Loren has shared details of her struggles with health with her fans on multiple occasions. Her story of living with Tourette's disease was an inspiration to viewers. The TLC star's fans, lauded her self-assurance and courage. But these people think Loren should move away from television for a while. Where did she disappear to? How come fans feel that way? Loren Brovarnik, star of 90 Day Fiancé, had a rocky pregnancy journey due to her several pregnancies. A natural mummy makeover was her goal, so she opted to have plastic surgery. It was never Alexei's intention for his wife to endure such misery. However, he caved in order to make Loren happy. After Libby told Alexei her secret, the latter was taken aback. The reality TV star's gripe with her husband's body-shaming remarks was significant. Nonetheless, Loren revealed her perspective in order to discuss her vulnerabilities. She opened up about how seeing Alexei's toned body made her feel uneasy and envious. Therefore, the reality TV star confided in her pal, who promptly betrayed her. In an effort to boost her self-esteem, Loren disclosed that she had the mother makeover. On the show, Loren Brovarnik came clean about his struggle with body dysmorphia. She has a hard time accepting her figure and finding motivation to improve herself. The TLC personality also suffers from Tourette's syndrome. Some viewers thought that after Brovarnik got her mummy makeover, her tics became worse. However, it appears that this is not the case. The American native's facial tics have recently escalated, as pointed out by a fan. Someone worried about Loren's mental health and posted a photo of her on Reddit. Compared to when they were under control, her facial tics appear to be out of control. The OP wrote, "I am aware that they are set off by stress." In the user's opinion, Loren and Alexei have the longest tenure in the series. Her mental health is being called into question by the former though. Many viewers of 90 Day Fiancé questioned whether the actress should step away from television. The speaker's Tourette's facial tics were clearly noticeable throughout her chat with Alex in the kitchen, according to one fan. Loren seemed somewhat anxious throughout the entire discussion. The constant need to record her tics on camera may be exacerbating her condition. As far as the audience is concerned, Loren's frequent pregnancies and extensive surgical procedures are adding stress. In order to prioritize her mental health, others thought she should take a break from television. Have you any thoughts on the matter? Leave your thoughts in the space provided. Loren Brovarnik shades Elizabeth in a cryptic post. Shows middle finger. Loren Brovarnik is taking pleasure in her feud with Elizabeth Pothast, her ex-best friend. She only made fun of the second one and raised her middle finger at them. Happily ever after. Season 9 has seen the 90 Day Fiancé star's conflict with Libby escalate. After a heated confrontation with Alexei, Elizabeth disclosed her secrets, much to Loren's disappointment. It was unbelievable to her that her best friend would betray her and put her marriage in jeopardy over an insignificant spat. At her lowest point, the reality TV star confided in Libby. Unfortunately, Libby betrayed her confidence, and Andrei admitted that he had been privy to all of their infidelity. As a kind of revenge during their argument, she also revealed her secret. Whether or if they are still friends is a question that viewers have as the current season delves into chaos. Loren said what? What was her intention behind it? Andrei was often insulted by Loren Brovarnik, but all she wanted was to be Libby's supporter and protector. The 90 Day Fiancé star's derogatory comments about her friend's husband were the final straw. Libby later attempted to retaliate against her buddy during an argument by bringing up the fact that Alexei shames Loren's body. Furthermore, she insisted that her spouse, no matter how awful he is, would never make fun of her because of her weight. In agreement, Andrei asserted that he reads their private messages. Some fans stumbled upon an old video of Andrei making a statement about his wife's weight, which is rather surprising. He had an appearance on 90 Days Bare all alongside Elizabeth, where they did planks on stage. "Those extra pounds from the holidays are visible over there," Andrei remarked. As soon as Libby lied publicly and displayed selective recall, her fans began to condemn her. Following their violent altercation, Loren Brovarnik revealed her true emotions. She confided in Alexei about her deepest fears and weaknesses. Because she had put her faith in her buddy, the reality TV star was devastated. Loren kept his mouth shut regarding Alexei. She confided in her closest friends about her weight insecurity that she was experiencing throughout the postpartum time. The audience took a stand against Libby's awful demeanor and supported Loren. They thought her marriage was flawed and that she needed to come clean about her toxic husband. In a recent cryptic tweet, Loren chose to criticize her ex-friend Libby. She publicly shamed her pal by posting a selfie in which she displayed the middle finger. A star of 90 Days should not cast stones, the author argued. Even though Loren left Libby's name out, her remarks conveyed how she felt. Her devoted following immediately assumed it was for a mutual acquaintance. There appears to be no longer any camaraderie among the reality TV stars. Elizabeth and Loren don't even mention or follow each other on Instagram. Libby was also scolded by fans for betraying her pal and revealing her secret during the altercation. Loren was lauded for her fearlessness in tackling everything and standing up for herself. Have you any thoughts on the matter? Loren faces off with Yara to peak drama and tension in new Happily Ever After episode. Guests on 90 Days of Love after Yara lied to Elizabeth, also known as Libby. Loren eventually confronted her. Yara, who was the one who caused the division in the group, pinned the responsibility squarely on Loren and Alexei, Libby, and Andre. Her vengeance on Libby was highly criticized by her fans. It is unfortunate that her debut celebration was spoiled by her friends and the husband. Yara, on the other hand, played the unpleasant card by revealing previously unknown information about the double-date conversation between Loren and Alexei, in which they discussed Libby and Andre. By rescuing Jovi from the mayhem, she demonstrated her intelligence. Libby and Andre saw Loren and Alexei as villains because of the way she framed everything. Yara went up to Elizabeth and told her Andre's worst secret. Her closest friend was informed by her that she had overheard Alexei telling her that her husband had lost $74,000 on a property venture in Moldova. As a result, Libby's previously carefree disposition became agitated. Unlike her pals, she was unaware of the truth, which is tragic. The veracity of Elizabeth's marriage to Andre began to erode rapidly. Jovi shared Yara's frustration that Alexei hadn't kept Andre's greatest loss a secret. Despite the fact that many Reddit users blamed Alexei of accidentally saying something, Yara ought to have been a devout woman. It was going to backfire on her because she messed with the guys and her buddies. The reality star likely felt innocent and thought no one would ever question her. Season 9's 12th episode of Happily Ever After included a salon confrontation between Loren and Yara. After learning that the latter had relayed her feedback about Andre to Elizabeth, the former informed the latter that she had heard about it. Libby took offense to Loren's purported vilification of Andre. Yara strongly denied the accusation and insisted she would never act in such a way. By seeming to be confused about what had transpired, Yara was acting out for Loren. Fans didn't really appreciate her lack of knowledge. She had no choice but to leave her own party since the yelling and fighting were too much for her. No matter what happened, the TLC star was ready to keep moving forward. It appeared like Loren had something resentful to say about Yara because of what happened between her and Elizabeth. Because Jovi would take Yara to Louisiana from Miami if she started a feud with her friends. Yara acknowledged that she couldn't do it. In the end, she had to show her husband that she had people in Florida who had her back. Yara admitted that she was probably still furious with everyone for wrecking her occasion. She told Loren that she has forgotten most of what she said regarding Andre during her rant. She made it clear that Noga was the one who had called Andre a nasty name. Loren despised Libby's treatment of her more than the way Yara had slapped her. Yara Zaya slammed for lying to Elizabeth, puts all the blame on Loren and Alexei. Our 90-day promise Yara Zaya is in hot water for reportedly spreading rumors and generating friction amongst her co-stars. The fact that Andre and Elizabeth had ruined her launch party made her very angry. The reality TV star now wishes she hadn't invited Loren and Libby, along with their significant others, to her exclusive party. On He, though, she ensured that she would exact her vengeance on Elizabeth. After her double date with Andre, the reality star spilled the beans on what Loren and Alexei had said about her. However, Yara's supporters believe that she covered up some facts in order to shield her husband, Jovai, from the scandal. Amidst the mayhem, she elevated Loren and Alexei to the status of ultimate lady. The reality star seems pleased to have succeeded in driving a wedge between Andriy and Libby. In what ways are her admirers criticizing her? In reality, what transpired? Throughout season 9 of He, Yara and Jovai have been playing it safe. As their co-stars Andriy and Elizabeth get into a fight with Loren and Alexei, they get to sit back and watch the drama. The celebs from 90 Day Fiancé extended invitations to the premiere party to both couples. Libby wasted no time in confronting Loren on her comments regarding her husband. Apparently, her co-star had some strong words for Andriy, and she heard them. The reality TV personality could see why a double date would be boring. Why was her marital life constantly in the news? Elizabeth wanted to know that too. But Loren wasted no time denying the accusations and making it plain that she had just said his actions were terrible. However, by referring to her husband as she upset her buddy. Unexpected chaos ensued at Yara Zaya's debut party. At the corporate function, she hoped to have fun with her co-stars and friends. The reality TV actress was about to leave the party in tears when her moment was ruined by Andriy and Alexei's argument. The idea that people could get violent during a launch party seemed unbelievable to Yara. Nonetheless, she confronted Elizabeth, spilling the beans about how she had ruined her moment. Alexei broke the news to Andriy that he lost $74,000 from his investment on their double date, she informed her pal. Hearing that everyone was aware of the loss before her made Libby's distress obvious. She began to question Andriy's validity as her husband. But according to one Reddit user, Yara withheld the information from her co-star. She blamed Alexei and covered up everything Jovai said throughout the double date, according to the OP. I believe it was Alexei. Jovai said it was supposed to be a secret, one fan speculated. The 90 Day Fiancé star's accusation of Alexei for this was justified, according to many fans. On the other hand, they think Yara ought to have told Loren and Alexei everything that she and Jovai discussed. Some viewers think Yara should have withheld information because she wasn't innocent. I didn't like the way Yara started it all when she also sat at that dinner gossiping. Another user wrote, "Have you any thoughts on the matter? Leave a comment below with your comments. No more today. What are you thinking about this gossip today? Let us know in the comments, and stay tuned by subscribing to our channel to get more updates like this. Thank you."